All right, here we are. Hello, hello, hello. You know what? We're gonna ditch the glasses for this time. Enough of this. All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Um, Mythos is first. Yes, you are first, sir. Always and forever. All right. So you can see the light there. I'm just trying to get more light on myself. It's a bit tricky with the way things are set up right now. However, welcome everybody who's here so far. Um, Thank you, Mythos. It's awesome to have you here, man. It is really good to have everybody here. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about on this particular chat. Um, Stuff about the channel itself, um, stuff about some of the shenanigans. That's what I call them because it's silly, stupid stuff that's been going on recently with in terms of how the Canadian government. I know it's weird to talk about this, right? It's real world stuff that's sort of leaking its way into the YouTube adventure we're on here, um, and into the hobby now in a strange, really way. Mr. Fish, happy Saturday. Yes. Wah! Wah and wah no more. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of weird shenanigans going on in both the federal, so all across Canada, and one province has kind of put the kibosh on Warhammer Plus for all of Canada. So we'll talk about that in a bit too. Plus, I probably seen it now. There's been a slight name change to the channel because I talked about this in the last chat. I haven't been happy, feeling kind of unfocused on what I've been doing with the channel, and I wanted to sort of get it focused on one thing in particular. Now there'll still be other things, but obviously the name of the channel is Who Took My Dice, Ultramarines and Beyond. So I really do want to focus a lot more on my Ultramarines. I have a bunch of projects that I have had. Now I'm going to sort of switch them up. Obviously the Ultramarines are going to be a big thing. Plus I hope it'll also help me get some traction behind actually getting my models built and painted beyond what I already have. I've got all the Leviathan stuff to do. I've got a bunch of other stuff that's I purchased over the last little while that needs to get done. All I need to do is add Canadian content producers on the UK streaming. Yeah, it's been a prime example. The way you say that, it's a prime example of people who don't know how the internet works making rules for the internet, and it's a bit of a piss off, to be honest. But yeah, so that's why there's a name change. I actually talked to Mythos about it, and there were some cool names, but and there was one I really liked, but it was too much of a change, and I didn't want to completely change things up. I want people to go back and watch all the videos, go, what the heck's this? The names don't add up. The names don't line up. What's going on? And so I didn't want to change too much. So I decided to go for this, just add a bit to it. But that's the name change part. Funny enough, though, I am working right now on adding some more detail to my kit bashed Azerman model I made a little while back. Plus, to go with the whole Ultramarines thing, I've got this old Guardsman. It's hard to see there. This old Guardsman, plastic one. I'm actually going to try painting up to do some test schemes for Ultramar Auxilia, right? Nothing wrong with having some regular Guardsmen floating around. But let's get to the nitty gritty of it. So, God, it's been probably about a year now. Canadian government's been talking about all these Canadian content stuff, right? Making sure that Canadian culture, for lack of a better term, is well represented to Canadians and around the world, right? But mostly they want to make sure that Canadians can see Canadian content. We have the CRTC. I'm just trying to see what this is here. So I have a bunch of summaries here. There's the CRTC, which is Canadian Radio and Television Telecommunication something or other. The Canadian Radio, Television, Telecommunications Commission. I just want to make sure I had that right. That's the people who are tasked with making sure that Canadian radio and television, obviously, we're putting enough Canadian content on. It was something like 20% had to be Canadian, right? So that we weren't swamped with a whole ton of American or other countries programming, and which is kind of silly. But it helps. Some channels are easy. I think it's kind of losing its. I think this is why they've done this. Part of it is losing its ability, because I can stream whatever I want, however I want. Nowadays, I can go for the content I want to go for, not the content they want me to see. And that's a big point. That's one of the big problems with this, is a lack of freedom. So one of the first ones they did, the first big one they got through was one called Bill C-18. And that was basically trying to keep our failing news systems going, because, well, their news isn't consumed the same way it was. You can stream it wherever you want. You can, right? It's so the channels aren't making as much money, and they wanted to try and force companies like Meta or Google to pay these news groups every time their stuff is on, which is silly. Facebook and YouTube are free. Instagram is free. So why should they pay? If you can generate enough interesting content, you should be able to make money. That's what everybody else does. That really doesn't affect us as Canadian contenters, myself right now, and it really isn't going to affect us in the long run, because it's all new stuff. Now, Bill C-11, that one's a bit more of a challenge, because that's just going to come up here, because YouTube had an update on here. It was the Online Streaming Act, right? So they basically giving them the ability to kind of say what we can and cannot do as Canadian content, trying to force things like YouTube to allow to make like the front page of YouTube. Imagine going to YouTube, and instead of seeing all the stuff you like, you see a whole bunch of Canadian content that really doesn't interest you. It's pushing all your stuff out. And imagine you make content, but it's not the Canadian content they want you to see, they want other people to see. So all of a sudden you disappear, right? This will affect viewers, views, subscribers, revenue, right? And this is the one that's starting to fall on us Canadian content makers, right? And what is a Canadian content maker, right? Well, the older version was, you had to be someone who was Canadian citizen. The whole thing had to be financed and housed in Canada and all that. Well, by that stretch, I'm a Canadian content creator, right? I finance it myself. I bought all the stuff, right? Now I don't have to pay anything for a live stream, what have you, but it's there. Obviously, with this online now, it's a digital creators. That's a bit different, right? So there's a bunch of stuff here. They say, when the bill moved through the Senate, there was an impressive effort to hear the concerns of digital creators and better understand how their businesses could be impacted. It was inspiring to watch Canadian creators add their voice to the legislative process and claim their seat at the table. Creators have expertly defended their businesses as a key part of the creative economy. It's clear that the Senate heard them. It's true. There's a lot of money generated by this now. To all creators who stepped, it says, unfortunately, on March 7th, the government gave notice to the motion that rejects the Senate amendment on user-generated content. So there was an amendment to improve guidance to the CRTC and better protect Canadian creators. They rejected it. After hundreds of thousands of letters and peace senators, witness testimony, creative areas, is deeply troubling that a reasonable compromise was rejected and only responded to concerns of candidates or creators and users, but all reflect the government's own stated intent with regards to its user-generated content. So this bill has now passed. So now it goes through all the rigmarole of enforcing it and all that stuff. And here the thing is, what a lot of us are worried about is that they're going to start telling digital creators what they can and can't make. Imagine your favorite channel, Canadian channel, making all this content you love, and all of a sudden a good chunk of their content just changes because they, in order to stay on or keep making money, however the government wants to enforce this, they now have to make content that is strictly aimed at being Canadian. Now, like I said, I'm a Canadian content creator, but I don't make my content for Canadians. I make my content for miniature war gamers, right? So how would I fit into that? Would I have to make content featuring only Canadian miniatures, Canadian model making companies, Canadian game makers? Right? Now that's not even the worst, but the one that's really sort of messed up in a way is a bill that came out of Quebec. Oui, la belle province, Quebec. Oui, oui, poutine avec le Pepsi. Right? And so this was a bill that reinforced businesses' obligation to serve consumers in French in Quebec. It is an attempt, apparently, by the Quebec provincial government to keep Quebec French. Now, in order to understand this, you kind of understand that Quebec has, for a very, 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 very long time, not only tried to separate from Canada, like, yeah, the whole chunk of Canada would just not belong or be Canadian, but also try to have what they call distinctive society. So it couldn't look like the rest of Canada. It had to be its own distinct society, which, I mean, as French as it can make it. Even the premier of Quebec said he doesn't want it to become like Louisiana, where, of course, this is his quote. He doesn't want to become Louisiana, where no one speaks French. It's a French part of America, by his understanding, but no one speaks French, and he doesn't want that to become something happened in Quebec. You have cities like Montreal, which are very, very English, very Anglophone, not Francophone. Now, the problem with this, it's a heavy-handed move. It means, and they've done this before, they have language police. Yes, they have language police in Quebec. And so you would, if you're a business in Quebec, you have to have French before English. The French signs have to be bigger. They have to be able to be seen by everybody. The English ones, it doesn't matter, but French comes first. It must be bigger. Literally, if the sign is the same size, you can get fined. I don't know. It seems kind of, fascist. They've been called the Gestapo before and stuff like that. But this one is a big one. Now, what's happened because of this bill, they called it Bill 96. It's been given what we call royal assent, which means it's not just a bill, it's a law. But yes, so it looks like it's been, not banned, but basically I think bans are blocked, right? So this is kind of frustrating because, one, you can't subscribe to Warhammer Plus. Yeah, we can't get the rest of the Army Builder portion of 40K app and all the other stuff. Now, this isn't a super massive deal, but it's a big deal because my choice, whether I wish to purchase it or not, has effectively been taken away from me. So one province can feel good about itself, which is problematic to me. Excuse me, talking is thirsty work. So now how this affects Games Workshop, it's weird because the app is in English only from in at least in Canada. It's treated, I guess, being sort of like the United States. And because of that, it's being blocked by the legislation. It's very weird. Yeah, so it says the new bill requires bilingual language usage on all apps. It appears GW doesn't have necessary requirements. If you're in Canada and you already subscribed, it looks like you would access the app currently, but when you go to re-up, access may be blocked. Apparently, Games Archive is trying to find a way around this, but yeah, because the app is not bilingual or heavily French, it's being blocked somehow by this bill, which kind of sucks because yeah, it is sad. It seems like my comments only come through every other time. That's weird. I don't know, man. I've got it set so anybody can comment. It's weird. Well, hopefully we can get that figured out. But yeah, so that's the gist of where we stand now. Like I said, it's this political shenanigans, real life sort of invading a hobby, which I don't think any of us really like. A hobby is a place where we're supposed to be able to relax and get away from everything, and here we are, well, especially us Canadians are now sort of getting missing out because that's uncomfortable because of some political maneuvering to try and it's also been really troublesome on another level because we've heard a lot of political parties banning around the words like patriotism and nationalism, which, if done right, are fine. I think everyone is a little bit patriotic in a way. We all sort of love the countries you come from, for good or bad. But nationalism isn't a bad thing. Again, in moderation. Nowadays, if we've seen a lot of the rhetoric, it doesn't matter what country you're in, nationalism and patriotism are usually not used in the best of ways. And a lot of this has been the same. Apparently, if I'm not wanting Canadian content all the time, I'm not patriotic or nationalistic, which is kind of silly. But yeah, so that's the fun thing. I mean, I, for one, haven't subscribed to Warhammer Plus. It's in its third year now. There's some new models which look pretty cool, and there's a lot more content on there. So I've been leaning towards maybe diving in on it, but now it's, and I think this is what pisses a lot of people off when it's really annoying is we have no choice anymore. I can't choose to. It's been blocked because the Quebec government doesn't want French to disappear. French, I don't think, is ever going to become a dead language. But there's better ways to handle it than like basically forcing it on people, right? I mean, we're still supposed to be a democratic country, and a lot of these moves you're seeing lately are very much not that. So yeah, but that's the heavy part of it. I just want to get that out there and let people know. I mean, it would suck if all of a sudden all your favorite creators suddenly disappeared because your government said, no, that's not Canadian, so you can't look at that. Could get to that. That's a lot of people afraid of, or going, oh yeah, you want to make some content, but you have to make that content geared towards Canadians. There's a lot of people who will be like, okay, well, I guess I'm done because there's nothing. I think I got flagged because I used the word bada. Oh, I shouldn't flag you for that, should it? Oh well. Hopefully you're unflagged now. I haven't done anything on my end, obviously. But yes, back to the more fun things. I just wanted to blab about that a bit. On the more fun side, Ultramarines. That's where I'm going. I want to sort of super focus more on my Ultramarines, right? I have a bunch of projects that I've sort of been looking at, going, well, this is really cool, but how can I make it Ultramarine-ish, right? I've been looking at things like, because I still want to continue doing a lot of things like train building. I want to get back and doing that, armies and all that. The Space Marine Codex coming out in a couple more months, a month, 2 months, something like that. So obviously that's going to be a big deal. We're going to see what's changed when that comes out. How I'm going to have to reformat my army again. What new stuff's going to come out, right? Apparently Nova's coming up, and a lot of people are expecting us to get a big showcase of new Space Marine stuff. A lot of people are expecting to see some some sort of assault Primaris Space Marines, which is really cool. I think it'd be great if we could see assault Primaris Space Marines. I think they're on the way. Of course, they've got apparently there's been lots of rumors about a new scout Primaris scouts, like the ones that you saw in the both the Black Templars and the Crusader squads. So you're going to have bigger scouts. Obviously, to do that, let's get rid of the old scouts. They're gone. They're legends. Here's the new scouts. They start off as Primaris Space Marines. We're not just taking regular scouts who then become Marines who then cross the Rubicon Primaris. These are full-on Primaris scouts, which is cool. I think it'd be great to see them. I know I'm still a little confused as to why you'd go through all the effort to make new scout rules. So it's actually pretty freaking cool, and not being able to be seen unless units within 12 inches, and having precision with all these awesome sniper rifles is great. They were really powerful, and the assault squads having basically doctrines for their chainswords. Basically, depending on what you're fighting on, either you get lethal hits or you get more hits, or extra powerful lance hits. It was really cool stuff. And until they're legends now. Have fun with that. They're done. But they won't be in the new codex. And them shrinking all the old dreadnoughts into one unit. It's still in the codex, which is nice. So dreadnoughts can still be used. But the fact that there's no more, it's just sort of like a dreadnought now. There's no venerable. There's no ironclad. It's all one dreadnought. So we'll see. But I definitely want to get sort of hyper focused on my Ultramarines and build around that. I've been looking up different sort of terrain options for places like McCraig or Calth, some of the other planets within the 500 worlds, the Forge worlds there, that are part of the Ultramar in the 500 worlds. There's a whole bunch of different options there. I've been poring over artwork recently. Things like looking at different artwork from Rise of the Primarch, because you actually get to see some of the architecture of McCraig. Right, I've been looking up things, and I've been looking through the Games Workshop's rather limited terrain options now, which is kind of bumming me out. I'd like to see more of that come back. I think they've really cut down the terrain options, which is sad. I think they need to get them out there more, or make them sort of a permanent made to order sort of system, because there's a lot of terrain missing there. But while we discuss that, it's time to take this little gem here, this little guardsman, and let's get him started on the road to becoming part of the Ultramar Auxiliary, however you want to call it. Let's see, what do I want to start with here? Mordian. All right. We'll start with some McCraig blue here, because it's a good color to start with as a nice base for the blue armor. Obviously, these guys are going to have to look the part. There's lots of cool fluff about them. But while we're doing this, the question I have for you guys, if you want to answer it now, or if you're watching this later, pop it down in the comments. What do you guys think about countries essentially without much to do, but just basically going, okay, we're going to start telling you what to do. We're going to start telling you what content you can make, what content you can watch in order to protect the culture. I mean, in Canada, everyone thinks Canada's culture is Tim Hortons, donuts, and hockey, right? Maybe I got flagged because I typed English first. Oh God, don't even say that. That's part of the I think the fear that a lot of people have is that it's going to be like, oh well, this comment, you didn't get to see this comment because it wasn't bilingual, right? Like, am I going to have to start making videos part English, part bilingual, right? So I'll be like, hey everybody, welcome to Who Took My Days. Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue. Like, is that what I'm going to have to do? And that kind of worries a lot of us. There's a lot of content creators that are in the same boat. Now, I'm fully aware that I am like small potatoes when it comes to everything that's going on. Like my channel doesn't generate any income that could be taxed or used in all those numbers that they throw around about, the digital currency that's going on, right? But your big sphere in my heart. Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. But yeah, I know I'm a small potato, but at some point, a lot of us are afraid that we could start losing people. Like, if you go, oh, your channel needs to be half French now. You need to be able to be bilingual. Well, who's going to want to sit through a video that's going to be double the length now? Because now I have to go say everything in English and say everything in French, or say part of it English and part of it French, which means then I have to start adding translations to my video, and all of a sudden extra work. And what's the return going to be, right? Will I be seen by people outside of Canada properly, or will I be seen in Canada at all? I did a lot of research on this. I looked at the life of the channel, just exactly where a lot of my views come from, and of course that's going to dictate the type of content I want to make. Canada's up there, but some of my biggest viewers are the States, the UK, where also there was Berlin, like Germany, I should say, Australia, New Zealand, India, South Korea, Japan. The people in Japan have watched my show. Watch my shows, my content. Troubling enough, Russia was on there. Don't know. It's a little, I don't blame countries for the idiocy of their governments, right? Oh, hey guys, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, we've been talking about the shenanigans that the Canadian and federal government and the Quebec provincial government have been getting into. That, well, probably won't have a huge effect on my channel. Could start having an effect. Have started having an effect on the hobby, where Warhammer Plus is effectively blocked in Canada now because of their language law. And Canada's trying to. It looks worst case scenario, which remains probably the most common scenario, is that the Canadian government is probably going to try and tell all of us content creators what we can and cannot do on our streams and our videos, and they're going to try and push Canadian content. Funnily enough, they said we don't want to do anything like telling YouTube how to deal with its algorithm, but then the same idea going, but we definitely want YouTube to start pushing Canadian content to Canadians, which is messing with their algorithm. It's kind of crazy thing. Also, to sort of sum it up, the channel name has changed just a little bit. It's now no longer just Who Took My Dice. It's changed a couple times. It used to be Who Took My Dice Miniature Wargame, which is kind of a mouthful. It just went down to Who Took My Dice, but as I said in my last video, not happy with where it's going. So now I'm Who Took My Dice, Ultramarines, and Beyond. So yes, there'll be other stuff. I've actually been working on my old school. It's been hard to see an old school. It is old school. It's older bits. A kit bash. It's not scratch built. A kit bash version of Azerman that I built for my Eldari army. And right now, I'm going to do some test coloring on this little guardsman for, the idea of I'm going to build Ultramarines. I should also probably have the Ultramar PDF there, right? There's lots of stories where they're hopping around, and in the fluff, especially around the Horus Heresy, they were seen as this courageous army that, thanks to their close association, have very formidable wills and incredible discipline and all that cool stuff, because they are basically being held to the standards of a space marine, and they're just normal people, right? That looks awesome. Thank you, Mythos. I appreciate that. So right now, I'm just putting down some base coats on the armor here. Do that gently. Try and get it looking, get a base coat of blue on here, and then sort of maybe mess around a little bit with some other blues. It's not be too difficult. It's Ultramar. It's blue. Lots of blue on there, but I already tried up doing another one years ago, and I made the cloth white, which seemed cool. However, I don't know if that's something that it actually do have the white there. I mean, it does look really cool, but white, especially when it comes to Space Marines, is usually associated with the first company of Space Marines. So unless there was one, no, it just seems like they'd probably try and follow the color coordination of the Ultramarines a bit there. So this one I had to paint it up earlier. He's got sort of the dark, it's hard to see there, sort of the dark tan. I know it's hard to see. It's horrible. Sorry about that. There's a darker tan to the cloth. I got the blue done on this guy. And this guy is actually one I also sort of carved up. If you look at it's hard to see there, but the last gun's actually missing its magazine. I chopped the end off because I was going to use these guys. This is guys from years ago when there were sort of scratch-built homemade lists for Adeptus Arbites. I hate that name. Arbites, Arbites, how are you going to call it? And of course, they're all armed with shotguns, or if you want to use them as guardsmen back in the day, you could use them as sort of engineers. We're all armed, veterans, all armed with shotguns. Great for close confines and stuff like that. But yeah, we're gonna try and make him look sexy before the end of this. But yeah, so that was kind of the decision I came up with. I wanted to make the channel a bit more focused, which I think is going to help me make better content, make more content. Also, try and get me out of the, I want to say, semi-funk I'm in with not getting the models done and painted, and I do want to get things on the Leviathan set. The stuff in there is absolutely amazing. I want to get that done. So hopefully this will help me do that. So we got our first blue on there. Looks pretty cool. Just a little bit of green there I want to get rid of. And I'm also coming to terms right now with the fact that there's a very good chance I'm going to need glasses. Because things are not as clear as they once were, and I'm finding it's harder and harder to see the little details. So I think yours truly. Now you've seen me wearing these ones before. These are my blue light glasses. So because I do tech all the time, I use these to filter out the blue light, and it does help a little bit. But I have gone in, and I do have a prescription. I should probably get filled out at some point and get myself some actual real glasses that are going to help with my eyesight. My eyesight's not horrible, but I'm 42 now and starting to feel my age a bit more. So yeah, time to get some stuff done. Now, do I paint the shin guards blue too? Why not? But yeah, let me know, guys. What do you think? Are you worried that where you are could start adopting similar legislation to try and protect, quote unquote, creators, while at the same time seemingly give your governments a lot of power to basically tell people what they can and can't do when it comes to their own digital creations or whatever languages you want to speak. I was looking at that bill. Well, it's been passed into law now in Quebec, and the fines are insane. like absolutely insane. They've skyrocketed. Obviously, they're on a scale, so I'm assuming businesses will get fined a lot more, but it's like up to like $90,000 for some of the fines if you aren't French all the time or French first or bilingual. It's like I think there's some companies that definitely be like, hey, we'll skip Canada. One of the weird things you have to understand, like why Canada does this, is I think there's like a weird societal. I think it's like a Napoleon complex that all of Canada has in weird ways. And I can say this as a Canadian, we as a society have a weird need to be noticed by other countries because we are a younger country than a lot of others. We're definitely, I mean, geographically, we're massive, but in terms of population, in the States, California, I've said this before, has one state has more has a higher population of Canada, just by a little bit, but one state. The UK has almost double what Canada has in terms of population. It's ridiculous. And so there's this weird need, and I think these countries are also our governments going, well, if you're gonna show our news, you better pay us, Meta and Google. And Meta Googling, what? You're such a small little pebble in the grand scheme. When it's the States. The States makes all the money for these companies, right? Because there's a massive population there. China, India, the United States, they're where if the United States said, hey, Google, hey, Meta, our news, pay up, help pay for this news. They go, yeah, sure, why not? Because you're huge. They fight it, but eventually they go, wow, look at the user base here. Michael, hell, good evening. Welcome. But yeah, so I think that's part of the, there's this weird need to be acknowledged by bigger and older countries than us, because I don't know why. I think Canada's made a pretty good name for itself on the world stage, even in some of the black eyes it's received recently and overall. But I think part of that is why they're trying to push for all this control. Because I mean, again, it's a bit scary, especially for the older generations. The world's are pretty small compared to now, where I can talk to people all over the world. Right? I can communicate with someone on literally the other side of the planet instantaneously like that. Right? I mean, we have all these political borders, which I mean are important for sovereignty of a nation and all that stuff, and knowing where your people are and all that. But they're becoming less and less important as more of us are just like, well, I'm Canadian. I'm speaking to Americans, or I'm speaking to someone in the UK. I've been on talk to people on streams all over the world, right? So those borders, I think it's kind of scaring some of the people in charge, going, well, our people can go wherever and talk to whomever they want at any point. But yes, back to Ultramarines. So I got lots of Ultramarines paint apps. So why am I working on a PDF guide? Because they're cool. And I definitely want to always be having fun with other different ideas. I've got a nice blue base on the armor there. I think I'm going to keep, I don't want to start to see there. I'm going to keep the fabric this darker brown. And now, so I use McCraig blue as my base. So what am I going to do now? Let's see. I've got Ultramarines blue, which I'm almost out of. I've got Calgar blue I can use as a highlight. Mothern blue. No, did do. They're close. And then I got Calgar blue. think I will try and do a little bit of highlighting with ultramarine blue. This is an old one. See, this is ultramarine blue. This is an old one from way back in the day. Yeah, I think it's been replaced with I don't even remember right now. Not Calgar blue is too light. I think the closest thing now is McCraig blue, but that's even a bit darker. Although they've made Marines darker in the last couple editions. Their armor's looked a bit more on the darker side, which I guess is appropriate for something called like the grim dark. You want your stuff to look grim and dark, right? Gone are the days of the bright blues and bright yellows and bright reds that were on a lot of those old school models. Yes, but let's get this guy going here. But so let's add some more highlights to this guy. So what do you guys think? Is it something we should all be worried about? Is Canada setting a dangerous precedent by going, we're going to tell you guys what you can do with your channels, right? Was that something you like? Would you be comfortable with, I'll ask, say, some of the American people here, would you be comfortable with your governing bodies coming in and going, hey guys, great channels, but you have to make something that is decidedly American now, or you won't get seen. We'll make sure that the companies in charge make your content harder to see, or you may not get on the front page, or I don't know. To me, I think it's Canada setting a bad precedent for the rest of the world. Although I think some countries have already done this, but I can't be 100% certain. There's a lot going on in the digital world right now, and a lot of it's not super happy all the time, for lack of a better term. Just trying to get some blue on this armor. Highlights here. That's looking good. That's looking good. Get some nice highlights on these boots. I want them to look a bit snappy. I want them to look impressive. These guys are fighting next to Ultramarines, of course, so they gotta look extra good. Gotta look extra good. All right, so now we've done a little bit of highlighting with that. What would look better? We've got Lothern blue, and Calgar blue. I'm not 100% sure where to go with this, to be honest. I think I'll go with Calgar blue as the final highlight. I always like to do, especially like in Ultramarines, depending on how much time I have and how much I'm feeling painting a lot of blue, I usually do 3 blues. I remember I think I've talked about this before, I did a old Masters of the Chapter model for the 10th Company captain. I followed all the steps from one of the old heavy metal books. They said, here's how to paint everything the heavy metal way. And there was 12 steps just for the blue. I went through a ton of blues, different, not paint per se, but different shades of blue and colors of blue. It was a daunting task. That was a lot of blue. And that was just to get sort of the accepted blue at that point. It took a lot, and it hurt. It was a painstaking process that I don't know, I don't think I ever want to go through again. It was crazy. And it was back in my GW days, and we would goad each other on, go, no, if you were a real hobbyist, you do that. And of course, you'd sit there sort of shaking, going, you're right. And then you'd do it. And then, of course, your time would come along where you'd see someone going, you know what, I really should put some freehand on that Rhino. I should make some fancy thing. But no, if you're a real hobbyist, you do that. And they'd sit you. and he'd look at you. There'd be like a momentary glimmer of unbridled rage as he stared at you, right? And then that quickly changed to an understanding of, oh, wait, I did this to you, and now you're doing it to me. Damn. And then you did it. And we had some guys that did amazing freehand. One of the gentlemen I worked with, he worked at the other Games Workshop store, had a Blood Angels army, and one of his rhinos had this amazing freehand of Sanguinius on the top. Just absolutely magnificent. Another guy who did, he did a Space Marine army that was built around Legion of the Damned without actually using Legion of the Damned rules, because those have been on and off and hit or miss. But his Land Raider had flames all along the base of the armor and the front door, like the all around the edge, and it looked great. Freehand flames, it was amazing. It's absolutely amazing stuff. So it was cool to see. So again, those were also challenges of, if you're a real hobbyist, you do it. You couldn't sit there with an impotent anger going, you're right. And then you did it. Because why not? God, I'm out of practice. So I'm just adding some blue highlights around the armor here because certain parts I want to stand out amongst others. Place where I think the light would hit the most. Because I also want it to look good. I'm also very excited for what's going to be happening next. I know 10th is in a kind of contentious place right now. A lot of people aren't happy with the meta or how Games Workshop is dealing with it. They're saying it's unbalanced. I haven't even played a game yet, so I can't speak to that, but I just think people need to calm down and try their best to enjoy the game. Easier said than done, I know sometimes, but just sit back and enjoy the game. And I hope to keep doing this in the long run, but we'll see what my government has to say about that. I am kind of worried that it's going to become difficult to maintain a channel if they're ticking off the big tech companies. You're trying to force them to make things the way they want it instead of the way that those companies or their users want it. Kind of a big deal. All right. Okay, so now we have that armor's done up. The cloth is done up. Boots are going to just be black with a little bit of gray highlight on them because we can. Let's see here. So how is everybody else doing? The chat's a bit quiet. What's going on out there, guys? How's the real world treating you the last week and a bit since we've done this, last couple weeks? Where's everybody at? Hopefully things are going well for you. Just going to keep it. All right. What to make the casing for this thing? I've actually been looking at here. I know you guys can't see it. I've been looking at Ultramar PDF pictures, right? Planetary Defense Force. What to make these weapons? A lot of people go for the reds on the bolters. I could do, or their las guns. I could kind of go for that. Some people do the black with some blue on it. Let's see here. Yeah, some of them are going for the straight up black casing on their weapons. I could do that. That's not too bad. Some go for a similar blue. I don't know if I want to do that. Oh, so many choices. I don't know what to do here. Let's see here. Red, I don't know. Red would stand out a lot. I don't want them to be standing out too much like that. Plus, it means I'd have to add some red to other aspects if I wanted to do like a full sort of mass combined arms thing. It would be a lot of red of these guardsmen and very little with the Space Marines. I don't know. I hate when color choice becomes an issue. An issue. I have an issue. Give me a tissue. But yeah, so that's kind of a big part of the chat I want to talk about was this sort of not having any freedom in my choice. It's been taken away from me by other people. I think that's one of the biggest piss offs right now is that, an entire country, and obviously I don't know how many people in Canada would actually order Warhammer Plus. I don't mean in a bad way, I just don't know, or how many hobbyists there are. There's obviously a lot. We have some big names in the hobby life who live in Canada, right? So there's obviously many, many people here. And I don't like the fact that one province, in order to protect something that I really don't feel, that's my opinion. I'm not a francophone. I don't live in Quebec. That isn't really like these steps are way too far to protect something like language, and it's affected an entire country. That's a problem. That's a problem, and it just worries me that this is going to set precedences for later on. Right? We could see channels disappear. News has already been hit. Government said like the bill C-18 where it was like pay the news, and now we've seen on things like Facebook where you can't get anything news. You can't even share. If you try and share a clip from a news thing, you get a whole thing saying this clip isn't allowed. Or Hellchild, hello, welcome. We're busy painting up a test mini for PDF from Ultramar, or the 500 Worlds, what have you. And we're just having a little fun with it right now. Right now I'm trying to figure out what color to make the casing for this last gun. I could just go with a straight up black. And I think that may be what I'll do. I think I'll just get a gray. Where are my grays? There's grays here. What's a little darker now? Where did you go? Rust gray is pretty good. Frisian gray is a layer. Frisian gray. I hate when I do that. Got multiple versions. I'll go with rust gray. Some rust gray here. How you doing, Hellchild, man? How has life been treating you? Hope everything's okay. Hope you're not working too hard. Taking some time for yourself. Get yourself all. See, Ultra PDFs. I'd say gray or white. Yeah, PDF. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for some gray highlighting on just this part of the casing, because I definitely want it to sort of flow with my ultras themselves. It's a little bit here and there, not too much. I'm 4 hours into a 12. Ouch. Ow, 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 ow. 12-hour shifts. I haven't done one of those in a long time. They are something about a 4-hour shift. I don't know. Something I hope I never have to do again. But good on you for going through one, and hopefully we can take you out of your ennui for a bit and revitalize you with some chat here. There's some nice lines there. And then we'll got this little case back here. I'll make that, give that some highlights too. Not everything's got to be brown or blue. It'll give us a little something here to break up the monotony. It's all gravy, baby. Good to see you, fam. Chat is censoring you. Why? Okay, that's weird. I'm not sure why the chat would be censoring you. I didn't do anything in my chat that I don't normally do. Yeah, you're all there. Oh, there you go. Now all of a sudden your stuff's all popped up. That is weird. I had moderation activity was there. I'm not sure why that was on, but now I can see you're basing up servitors and my tech pre, so I'm watching. There you go. No, it was YouTube. That's weird because I never had the issue before. But yeah, it toggle moderation activity. I'm not sure it was moderating you. That is weird, Mythos. I am sorry for that. That is weird. That's crazy. So there you go. You should be more visible now, Mr. Mythos. You helped drop a world boss in 3 minutes before work on Diablo 4. Nice. Nice. I have not played that yet. I probably should try playing it at some point. I've been lax on my, well, I shouldn't say it, but major gaming. I actually finished off, it was a bolt gun a little while ago, and that was a fun bit of nostalgia there. Bolt gun was a fun game. Full on 90s nostalgia. Rock music, right? Just great game. All right. Now, next step is there's some line hiding on a bolter las gun / shotgun type thingy. I have some silver I should do on the stock. Let's break up the monotony of that a little bit. We're gonna get some lead belcher. Nice little base silver there. Yeah, but so I'm hoping I'm going to be able to put out a lot more interesting content than I have lately with this new sort of perspective on the channel, doing a lot more Ultramarine stuff. Because I fully admit there's been times where I've been struggling to come up with ideas for videos because I don't have all the time in the world as I wish I did for big projects. And it does affect what I can put out. Plus, kind of doing it all on my own, it is a bit it's a bit daunting sometimes to go, okay, I have this cool idea. How the hell do I pull it off? And then sometimes you don't know how you're going to pull it off, and that leads you to not pulling it off, which is also a frustration. But there you go. There's get some silver on here. Get this bar at the top, a stability bar. We'll get that peanut silver too. Why not? Add a little bit more shine to this weapon. Got some gold after. So how has Diablo 4 been for you? Take those off, bother me. I've seen lots of, I haven't actually watched any content, but I've seen That's weird. Okay. There's a bit more silver. I don't know if you can see that. I wish I were. Yeah, I wish I was a lot more tech savvy. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to be. Again, it requires time that I don't have to put in. I just don't have. And the lawsuit's like, oh, you got to make time. But I got family. We all have family, right? So smashing the tournament, level 58, smashing moms, level 7 here. Wow, that's cool. Or torment. That's cool. That's some power then. I mean, I haven't actually watched videos, but I've seen lots of content of people speed running it. What is this? I see people rolling dice in Diablo 4. Like there's like this dice rolling thing. They walk up to a treasure chest, and all of a sudden, this dice thing pops up and it rolls. And I guess depending what they get the treasure or not. Like, have they sort of incorporated like D&D style, like checks on luck or dexterity or something? I mean, I don't know. You're a beast. Yes, you are. You, sir, are a beast. Okay. I need to throw a little gold on there too. But first, I need another layer of lighter silver. Mystery chest. Okay, so I guess when you get to the mystery chest, you have to roll this dice, and I guess you have to score over a certain amount to get the mystery chest, or to get the contents of the mystery chest, I'm assuming. Again, you'll have to excuse my ignorance. I have not played the game yet. I intend to at some point. I just haven't had the chance to yet. Lots of other things to do first. Actually, it's really cool. Today, speaking of games, I'm probably gonna have to eventually just start like my own retro channel, because I've been picking up a lot of old school stuff. I'm playing Bolt Gun, brought back lots of memories of playing the old Quake and Diablo games and all. Not Diablo, Quake and Doom. That was it. I actually was finally able to get a new cord from my N64, and earlier this evening I was playing GoldenEye with my daughter, playing some old multiplayer on that, and it's making me think. The other day on Friday, the internet went down, so there's no streaming, there was no internet, there was no playing online games. And I was just thinking, like, man, back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, we didn't give a damn about internet. You wanted to play, you go to your friend's house, you cop on their 64 or a whole bunch of controllers, and you start playing GoldenEye for hours, just shooting each other, laughing. And it was really cool. My daughter was a little frustrated at the beginning because she had trouble moving around because the game is GoldenEye, man. When that came out, we thought it was the greatest game ever, but now you're looking at it, it's so severely limited. Memories, yeah. They're it's so severely limited as what you can do. I mean, using one joystick, it's just all you're moving back, forward, up and down are on the control pads, and they're incredibly slow. And you're just shooting away, trying and make sure your aim is right where it should be. So you can't jump down from ledges. There's no jumping down at all. You come up to the edge of a ledge, and there's nothing there. You just stop. You have to go down the steps or the bridges down. So it was. Even I'm going, oh God, I can't aim or shit right now. What the hell's going on? And then you realize, oh yeah, I'm playing oh God, how old is that game now? Well over almost encroaching on 30-year-old game, if not older. God, I gotta look that up. When did GoldenEye come out? Oh, good Lord. Yeah, I thought it was 1997. Oh, man, I'm old. So, yeah. Yeah, it's approaching on what, 30 years old, 2007, 2017. Yeah, it's getting close to 30-year-old games, and then I also have. It's cool. My wife picked it up for me. It was like, I think it was about $100 or something. It came with 2 controllers, GoldenEye, Pokemon Stadium, because you got Pokemon Stadium. That was a big game back then. And it came out. Well, I also got the Japanese version of Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. So, which is really cool because they're made regional in the old way. Nowadays, you can make games regional just by putting the codes in. They only use work on certain items, but the actual backing of the cartridge at the bottom, North American, was flat, and then had these 2 grooves, and then of course went to the front of the case at the bottom. So you're looking at it from the bottom of the case. It was flat along the back, dipped down, and then had that curve at the front. These Japanese ones, they are flat, have a small little dip down, but then go back up before they go to the curve at the front of the cartridge. So you can't actually put it in a top loading N64. It doesn't fit. It doesn't have this. One of them has been messed with, so someone cut off part of that cartridge so it fits. The other one doesn't fit at all. I think it's Pokemon Stadium 2. It's a Japanese version. So the fact that I haven't even looked up how much those things might be worth. They might be worth some money, but I think I'll hold on to them. I was playing Sega and Sega Saturn back then. Yeah, in '97, I was in '97. Yeah, I remember in '97 I was playing on my Super Nintendo, and then I went PlayStation because I was and still am to a certain degree. I was a Final Fantasy freak back then. I loved everything and anything Final Fantasy. I was playing Final Fantasy 3 as we knew it back then, which would eventually be Final Fantasy 6 later on, and it confused me as to why the PlayStation was showing out Final Fantasy 7. So I guess we missed some, right? But I went for Final Fantasy 7. The PlayStation was my jam. All of my friends had the N64. We play, like I said, GoldenEye. Of course, then we would beat up, not literally, but we would we'd sort of gang up on the guy who played Odd Job and N64, because we had unlocked the entire game and all the characters, because he was at the right height that the standard shooting range was always over his head. So the standard natural way you shoot the gun that it would hit anybody else mid body would go right over his head. And so if you start playing around with things like the golden gun or rockets or what have you, or missile launchers, what have you, you'd fire off and the rock go right over his head, smash into a wall back there. And if you're lucky, he was close to the wall, you might get to kill him. More often than not, your shot just right over it and he just shoots you easy. So it was, it was, he was anybody who picked that character, like, okay, we're coming after you. And even if he managed to lose a game, he was that person should expect a couple of good punches in the arm afterwards, because that's a cheap and nasty thing to do. Anybody who took an Odd Job was going to get severely reprimanded for that choice later on. Yeah, those are good memories. But the fact that I was able to get one, yeah, Golden Gun was evil. But yeah, no, like, man, nowadays I've got a lot of old games. A lot of old games now that I should probably. I mean, I did that one video where I did some video game therapy, as I called it, because, excuse me, how I was feeling at the time, and maybe I should do some more of that. I don't know if that's something that people would like to see or not, but I think it'd be cool to show off some old things. That could be part of the beyond part of me doing the name change to the channel, Ultramarines and Beyond. All right, as I blather away here, I'm going to get some. I got a little bit of gold on this guy. I got some Imperial Eagles that I should probably make gold. Seems to, again, something that sort of sticks with my my Ultramarines. They have a lot of gold on them. It's a color that goes well with the blue. One on the casing there of the last cannon. And where else is there? I'm always down to see the classics. Yeah, that is one of the good. That's one of the classics, though. The Goldeneye. I know I've seen lots of people mentioning that the pause sound is probably one of the best pauses in the game. The music that played when you pause it was probably some of the smoothest pause music ever. Very very cool. You could just pause the game and listen to that for hours, even though it repeats pretty steadily. How did the game go? Mythos, you're playing a game. What game are you playing and how did it go? Did you win? Did you lose? Do we celebrate victory or more on the massive defeat you probably took? I don't know. I'm just blathering away here. Ignore my blathering as I paint gold. All right. Just gonna get a few more bits of gold on this guy. There's a skull there. I can't forget the one up there, and there's one on his canteen. Get that too. All right, let's get the sword. Or the dagger, the combat weapon I put on his belt here to kind of differentiate him from the other masses of. It was fun start, but freak head. I leave for family emergency. Oh no! I hope everything's okay with Freak there. Family emergencies are never fun. Hopefully everything's okay. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Hopefully it was nothing too serious. Family emergencies suck. All right, so there's a bit more gold on there. A couple more. No worries, everything worked out. Okay, well that's good. I'm glad. That's the best result you could ever hope for in a family emergency. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. There's been a few family emergencies on my end, and they're never something I'd ever want to see anybody repeat. Our minds love to go to the worst place possible when there's a family emergency, and that's never helps anybody. So I'm glad everything turned out well. Oh, get some on my eye. And okay, there's one on the canteen here. I'm just gonna get this guy's eagles, imperial eagles and skulls looking magnificent, as they should for the emperor. There's a lot of I think that's one of the things I got to do is step up more for the emperor. There's a lot of you, a lot of people here that have fallen for the nasty tricks of chaos and the lies of the filthy Xenos usurpers, and I think you got to start standing up and making sure they don't think they can own this place. Yeah, no, one of the things. That right there, it's great that you wanted to grab the truck and head right out. I wish I could do that for you guys. It's one of the things one of the downsides. I know a lot of people. Weirdly enough, I know a lot more people I'd call friend outside of my own country. Probably because I live here and most of my own people I don't like very much. Sorry, that's me being facetious. No, that's one of the things I got to work on is getting more back into my community, and I've been trying to do that. It's easier said than done, but yeah. One thing that Mythos and Freak mentioned in there is about that member of a community who lost everything in a house fire. I wish I could just send everything I possibly could. I've been looking for a whole bunch of orc stuff. I'm looking on, eBay and all these other places, even like local stuff. I go through the Facebook Marketplace. That's a great way to find stuff. But what people are asking for even a small amount of stuff is insane. The prices are, exorbitant. I get it. There's stuff that's no longer production, or people want to make some money back on their purchases, which is understandable. But when you're wanting more than what the original box was worth, yeesh. Hey man, you'd be more than welcome. Canada, yeah, just yeah, if you're coming to Canada, it's going to be a weird time a little bit. We're very close in certain ways to the United States of America, but other ways we're very different. We don't all say you're sorry, and we are pretty nice people, but yeah, we're not as nice as we used to be, I don't think. But yeah, no, come up to Canada, come up my way. We'd love to have you. We'll have a chat. We'll have a nice time. We'll treat you to some Timmies. We'll get you a double and a cruller. Lord, I need to get glasses. We'll have a good time. Okay, so I think that's all the gold done. So now I need. So when I do my golds, it's like a almost. There's the Agrax. I need that. Yeah, second mains can be crazy. I wish I could find some of those unbelievable deals. I see people. I know. I look for them, and sometimes deals are great for the person selling them. There was, or you'd find things where I found someone that has something I'm looking for, but then there's one that was a whole bunch of cool orc stuff I'd love to send off. I'd love to get them, but they want to trade for knights. Well, I don't have any knights to trade for, so that kind of makes that a moot point, which is unfortunate because I'd love to help out. I think some of the big problems, again, it feels like I'm so far away sometimes from what's going on. And yeah, I see these people, I got this great model for like $5. Like, where did you get that? Because no matter where I look, it's here's an out of production, and it's just like recently out of production model that, I remember it being in the stores like 5, 6, 7 years ago for like $45. Like, I want $90. It's like, so you want double the price? Yes, I get it's out of print, but come on. Are people going, I think I saw one where it was like a run herd and some grots, like the standard boxes right now. And I can't remember else, but it was like $100 for it. And well, the run herd and the grots come in one box, and even with the other model, which is character, it's not $100. Like in store, it's not $100. So why are you wanting more on it? I get it. People want to make their money back. They've invested, and they're like, I'd like some return. But it's like those people at garage sales that sell something that's worth like $50 that's been used and beaten up by their kids. Point where there's holes in it and it's faded. It's like, I've seen that before, where there's like what was it? It was one of those turtle pools / sand, like a sand thing. You can either put water or sand in, and it's faded. One of the painted on eyes has been scrubbed off. There's a hole in the shell, and they're like, it's $100. It's like, the thing's not $100 when you bought it in the store. Your kids have beaten the hell of it, and you want more. Like, come on, no. Right? It's like those people. Yeah, it's nuts. So it's been a frustrating time. Now, for those of you who want to know, when I do my gold, I'm gonna put this guy up on the. I'll show this guy off in the community part of the channel later, and I'll throw it up on my Instagram when he's done. But next up, my gold, I just go for the, what I have. Where'd it go? There's my gold color. Where did it go? It was right here. So I use Retributor Armor for the base, and then I put some Agrax Earthshade on it just to sort of give it that a bit of a less shiny but more worn down. Now the final step, if I can find it, I just had it. Again, an old one, chainmail. Don't make that anymore. It's a nice light silver, right? And so I'll just get a little bit of that because I don't need a lot. What I want to do with this, get a lot of it off the brush there. And I just like to hit just the highest points on there, just a little bit, just to kind of, because when gold shines, there is a bit of a silver tinge to it. I've seen that over the years. And so what I'll do is I'll just hit the sharpest points with a little bit of the silver, just to make it pop just a little bit. Because I think it looks good that way. Just the really high points. That's what I've done with gold for, God, I don't know how long, years. There we go. Looks pretty good. Oh yeah, can't forget, I gotta do the boots. I missed the boots. So I need, where did it go? No. So console of Ultramar, should I go Krieg or Cadian from my Astra Militarum? That's an awesome question. It completely depends. I know a lot of people go Cadian with it. Like I'm actually looking at it right now. There's a lot of Cadian in there. Cadian models, because I mean a lot of the old stuff too is showing them looking more like standard guardsmen. There's actually some cool stuff from the Horus Heresy where that was more of the when it was, it was the Imperial Army, not the Astra Militarum, and they're sort of all over the place because there wasn't the same level of uniformity to them. I mean, if you want to go Krieg, go Krieg. If you want to go Cadian, go Cadian. I think the new Cadian, like this is an old Cadian model. The new ones with all the extra gear look really cool. Just the amount of detail on them is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, they would fit. Krieg, I mean, I've been looking it up here. If I go to, I use Lexicanum as a good source because if I look up Ultramar Auxilia, right? Again, the picture they show me is from one of the covers from the Horus Heresy books. Again, he is wearing a mask with a rebreather. The armor, though, it's its own armor. It's not looking like any of the armors that are out there now. Just trying to see anything here. Again, it depends. Again, you'd have to do a little research on the different planets, right? Some of the characters. There's a sergeant from the first Sothan Irregulars. That's one planet. You have another one, a sergeant from the Prandium 30th, right? You have another one from the 30th Ultramar Auxiliary Regiment from the Prandium, and there's another one from the 455th Calth Regiment. So again, depending on what planet. Now, Calth, for instance, the top of that planet is dead. Everything's underground, much like Krieg. So if you want that to me would be a cool one. So if you want to say something from Calth, or a regiment from Calth, that could be cool. They're definitely probably a regiment that would be used to living in the same sort of conditions that the Krieg would find themselves in, right? I have lots of STLs, so I could print. Yeah, man, I could kit bash there. You could. Again, But looking at a lot of the images that people use, it's a lot of Cadian models as the base. Now some of them have added different heads to show extra crested heads to show something a bit different, something a bit more. I want to say blue-blooded. They're not like some of the other blue blood regiments where it's made up of really rich families with lots of lots of money, but the realms of Ultramar don't actually pay imperial tithes like other ones do. They actually, their tithes go directly to the Ultramarines and the regiments there. So they would have, a lot of that's also controlled by the Ultramarines themselves or captains of the chapter. So it's probably a lot better well run than the rest of the Imperium. So you could maybe, if you wanted to take like Cadian bodies and come up with some cool specialized helmets for your sergeants or your platoon leaders, what have you. I'm looking at a lot of pictures here. I see lots of Cadian stuff, right? Lots of the standard plastics. Now, again, that might be because of what they had to use. I see some stuff here where people have used Roman-inspired helmets on them, and they've got them dressed up looking like, old school Roman soldiers from the old ancient legions, right? So again, totally up to you. Yeah, like the royal. Yeah, exactly. Cadian heavy trench coats, custom helms. Now I'm thinking, yeah, you could do that, right? Again, it's the 500 worlds. There's a whole ton of worlds, and each one's a bit different. They've got forge worlds, so you could even try and go ones that might be a guard regiment that's colored by the fact that it's close to or on a forge world. You've got ones where you could do heavy trench coats, like you could go for Krieg on planets that have been devastated by wars, and so the populations had to adjust. You could have, there's Agar worlds, there's Hive worlds, there's anything, right? I mean, you have examples like the Necromunda 8th, and that's not Ultramarines, but they have a whole regiment made up of, scum of the hive, right? Gangers that have been conscripted into a regiment. You could try doing something like that. You could come up with your own sort of like penal legion made up of, you could throw some Necromunda models in there and have a regiment made of the scum of whatever hive is in the Ultramar on a particular world in the realm of Ultramar, and then throw that in there and have just this cool little unit of ragtags, right? Sort of like a Hogan Heroes type thing. People really shouldn't be there, but they're good at what they do, and therefore they get a bit of a pass, right? Now where the hell did I put that? There you go. Again, forgot to do the boots. Never forget to do the boots. Boots are important. Boots are always important. It's always good to have good boots. Remember, take care of your feet. Cool. I'd like to see those some las guns. Yeah. Again, they're armed basically the same way as most other guardsmen regiments. You could maybe go for something like special weapon heavy, or maybe have some more elite style troops in your army, which is absolutely doable now in 10th edition. That way to show off that they're a bit more. Yeah, I miss them too. The Penal Legions are really cool. The bomb, yeah. Oh man, what a way to be! It's right. You're gonna go into battle armed with less than that guardsman there. He's at least got cardboard armor. You're gonna go in with a bomb around your neck, and you're gonna go charging into battle in whatever clothes you have to be wearing. And if you don't die a horrible death, you better not run backwards or blow your head off. And yeah, have fun. Well, yeah, if you ever read up about the Last Chancers, they had a whole bunch of books, and they were a penal legion where they had they had ragtag group of different criminals that were all brought on. Some of them had specialist abilities, and they were all brought on to go and basically like the Suicide Squad, go on these missions that the chance of them coming back alive are almost nil. Of course, they managed to somehow come back alive. But yeah, they're basically you earn your freedom freedom uh, by dying honorably, atoning for your horrible sins, by dying doing this mission for the Emperor. It was they were some of the most god awful models I've ever seen. There was okay, these are models from the 90s, right? That's all I can say. They would not fly today. They were some pretty God. Most of them are okay. You had some crazy ones like Animal. It was just this crazy guy wearing, I think he was just wearing like pants, and he had the broken manacles on his arms and his legs. He was just carrying a melt-a-gun. Yeah, they were metal. Do you mean metal? Metal, like the models were metal, or the fact they were metal because they were metal and metal? But yeah, some of them. You had a character named Shiv, who was most decidedly Native American, and they designed him up in the worst, most non-good way of putting a Native American into something. Just looking at now, they would never make a model like that ever again. They also had a character named Hero, Hiro, metal, yeah, Hiro, who was very much Japanese, and his design was very much there to represent a Japanese soldier, like an officer, not a soldier, but an officer. Again, a 90s model, 90s mentality, right? But definitely wouldn't fly today. And his is one of the best stories because he's in The Last Chancers because he refused an order from a superior officer that would have got him and his men wiped out, and literally there had been no gain. He saw it as a horribly, just tragically, tactically bad idea, and said, no, it's going to get us all killed. It's not going to gain anything. And that's why he's in the whole squad was very, yeah, absolutely. It was the whole squad, tank girl, or no, missile girl. Yeah. It was, if Games Workshop made that set now, the way it looked then, the YouTube here, the whole Twitter, everything, Instagram it would be like a massive cancellation for Games Workshop if they did it. But hey, it was, you gotta look at the context. It was a completely different time. I don't think there's any really right or wrong to it. I think it was sort of went with Games Workshop's humor back in the day. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever see anything like that, right? Oh, it would. The uproar would be crazy. I know many channels that would absolutely lose their collective poop. If that ever came out, it would be, oh my god, the people would go nuts. And that's not to say it wouldn't be completely unjustified. It was a different time. But all right, so now shake this up. Gonna get some skin tones on this bad boy here. Does this boy need some skin color? Let's start with some Bugman's Glow as a base. It's a good base. Works well, nice and solid. Doesn't mean that it means I don't have to paint a lot over it. Oh, something on my eye though. Good lord. Excusez-moi. All right. But yeah, so get back what you're saying. If you have STLs, print off whatever you want. I mean, it's from what I'm seeing here, a lot of people are using Cadian models as the base, and then adding on third-party bits, adding on helmets from other units. Let's look in here. Yeah, this looks like just a lot of Cadians, lads guns, yada yada yada. Where did it go? There's one here. Yeah, there's one here that is. They've got. Okay, this is cool. They have one here that's the old Kazarkin models, so those old metal ones. But they call them Rough Riders, but they've put what it looks like definitely be a Slaneshi head from Fantasy. So some of the, and this is just for I guess the sergeant of the unit. There was actually a really cool Slaneshi character that had a big helmet and he had a massive metal crest that came up and all the fur came out of it at the top. It was metal, so you have on there. And to make them Rough Rider, they've put the really old school metal jump packs on them. I actually have some of those. But yeah, um, the rest of the unit looks like it's just Kazarkin with jetpacks on their back. So again, it's sort of up to you. I think I'll do some Ogren robot proxies from Recommender. That'd be cool. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want some Royal Lopo, and their look and their color scheme would fit Ultra. They would. Except they're definitely not in terms of their psychology. They're definitely not Ultramar. They're a bunch of glory boys. You know, Daddy bought them their way in their commission into the guard, and yeah, can't trust those types. They're gonna get killed. They're what you call murdering officers, not killing officers, murdering officers. If you don't know what it is, go and watch Sharp because it's a fantastic series. If you like Guardsmen, I would doubly watch it because it is basically, it's during the Napoleonic Wars, but holy crap, I'm pretty sure there's a good chance that a bunch of the Tanith stuff is based on the Sharp books and shows over the years because, yeah, right, Sharp goes up against a lot of the same guys. And if you know what Sharp is, it's a fantastic book series. It was an awesome series of say mini movies that all came out with the incomparable Sean Bean as Richard Sharp Esquire, a lowly sergeant who, by happenstance and good luck and drive, becomes an officer under Wellington and ends up being a big part of Battle of Waterloo. We see where there to see Boney off, and yeah, it's really good stuff. But you find out in one episode there's a difference. There's murdering officers and there's killing officers. Now, killing officer, they're going to get you killed, but they don't mean to. They're trying their best. A murdering officer is a type that will get you killed and not care, and yeah. The new, oh yeah, I gotta watch that. I started watching it when the kids were getting loud. I need to watch that because it looks good, and I was a big fan of Rebels, and it'd be cool to sort of see them get a good, well, not only a live action counterparts, but sort of give it a conclusion because it never, well, it had a conclusion obviously, but it never had a proper resolution with some of the characters still missing and or what have you. Spoiler alert, but that'd be cool to see that. Just trying to get these fingers done here. These little hands. I'm not used to any such little hands. I'm used to the strong marine hands. These girly little guardsman hands. Clanker, yeah. I think Clanker is probably just a little bit homicidal. I don't know. He's a pretty cool guy. He's like R2D2 if R2D2 had severe PTSD. I'm just going to put that out there. But yeah, Clanker's still awesome. All right. Let's see here. Hands are done. Now into this face. Oh, good Lord. So yeah, going back there, like for instance, I'm using this old Cadian Guardsman model for my just a little bit of a test model here, but he's good old Cadian, and right? Good old Cadians. You know, Cadia stands and all that good stuff. Although these guys aren't the same, so they're, I don't know what their battle cry would be. These poor schmucks. Although I mean, they've been through grinder too, being, ever since the Primarch back, they're getting attacked by the Black Legion, and then the Ultramar campaign with there's the Invasion of Ultramar, the Ultramar campaign, the Plague Wars, the Arctarius War. Lots of, they've been through the ringer. There's also let's see here, Newfound Expedition. What's this one? So I'm just looking at Lexicanum. That's one of the ones I like there. But yeah. Right, go to bed, bud. Yeah, get some sleep. It's late. Okay, I'm fine. I'm just doing my thing. Go to bed. Go to bed. Sorry, one of the kiddos there wants me to go to bed soon. It is getting late here. Yeah, but I kind of want to get this guy done to a degree. Let's say I did some hobby-wise. But yeah, no. Cables. All right, but yeah. All right, so now that part of the skin tone's done, I have Cadian flesh tone. Look at that. I know our good friend Mythos there's got his nice Cadian army. Again, I don't know the rules very well for them. I haven't been checking up on them. I have with my guards. Not going to be a super big part of this. This is just for some extra fun. It's also cool to have some extra models if you want to take some nice pictures or do some practice games. That's one of the other things that I want to do. I want to try and do some more narrative sort of games where, I mean, if I can't get away long enough to have a game outside, I can still play some cool narrative games, create sort of a narrative story to it, show that off, do all the dice rolls and all that, but make sure it's a bit more of a story, give a good storytelling aspect to it. That's one of the things I've always loved. I think some of my favorite games, the ones not the ones that I necessarily won, but the ones that told a really crazy story that were a lot of fun, that had memorable moments. That's what I play for. So we're just gonna get some of this on the face here. Again, just on some of the high points, because I want things like the cheeks to stand out, the ridge of the nose. I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell you guys about this, but it goes back to my old days. All right, so we've got a gun done. We got some skin done, the Goldestein. This guy's pretty much ready for basing. So we're going to get some technical crap here. But yeah, if you're trying to make your own Ultramar PDF, I mean, just take a look around. Again, there's a ton of planets in the Ultramar system. The worlds of Ultramar. So you've got the ones in the core system. You have Craig, Lapis, Nova, Thulium, Ardium, Lapis, Thulium, Connor system. You've got Connor, which is I believe it's a Forge world. Yeah, it's a Forge world. You've got Vanator, Drenthal, Lobos, Nathamus, Astarminus. You've got Kelth, right? You've got Tarantus. You've got Starforts, right? So there's a whole ton of systems, right? And there's a whole ton, and there's like former planets, things have been destroyed or over the years that you could say, hey, maybe the survivors are one of those, right? You got Protos, which oversees Western Ultramar. You got Vespator, which oversees Eastern Ultramar. You've got Andermon, which oversees southern Ultramar. You've got Paramino, which is the capital world. You've got there's a whole list of planets here, right? So again, you just do a little research on them, right? So we go Calth, for instance. Like I said, it's an airless world, and its surface is uninhabitable to the deadly light of its blue sun. Despite this barren appearance, it's one of the most productive worlds in Ultramar. Its population inhabits massive underground cavern cities, and its orbital shipyards are renowned throughout the Imperium, right? So, yeah, it's one of the ones the Horus Heresy was attacked. So it once did have people living on the surface. Again, it was the word bearers. They died in World Bear's cataclysm attack, which permanently stripped away Cal's atmosphere and poisoned the Viridian sun's radiation, making it possible for any life to survive above ground without shelter. That sounds a lot like the Krieg to me. I mean, their planet's a barren wasteland because of their own little civil war. So it's something cool, right? It's a bit different. Obviously, a planet that's used to hiding out. Hopefully that helps you out. Hopefully it gives you some inspiration and I love to see those models when they're done. Right? We're just going to get some basing material on this base now. Make it match the rest of my Ultramarines. And we have a happy little guy from the Ultramar PDF here to lend a hand to defending the realm of the Primarch and the Emperor. Always good to have some a little bit of help, right? I'll go a little bit on the boots. Don't care because they're boots. They're meant to be dirty. Get that hole closed up thing. So we're gonna smash this on here. Get a little bit of texture built up on this base and let it dry. Because you want this to be easy to dry brush afterwards. For sure, yes, I'd love to see those models. I think they'll be cool. All right, so we're just getting some of that technical astrogranite on here. That's one I like to use. I've had a sort of gray city base sort of thing for as long as I can remember. I think I really started it when I was working at Games Workshop. We had like a new city fight out there, and a lot of my Marines, something I should probably get back to now. I actually, once they were done and I got the base done, I would actually dry brush a little bit of gray on top of the armor, like the top of the backpack, the shoulders, the helmet, to show, the dust coming down as, they're inside buildings that are being bombed out, and then the dust, the masonry coming down on top of them. I mean, it wouldn't bother them, but it would make their armor down, depending on how the leg was, you get, the top of the knee or the shoulders or the elbows, I should say, as they're holding their bolters, right? So something cool to show that they were in a particular battlefield, as opposed to just the same sort of. And I wasn't back in the day, especially, I wasn't a fan of the dirt base with the grass on it, because I mean, that's definitely a battlefield condition they would fight in, but it's not the only one. And I always like the idea of them being in these big cities, fighting massive battles in these huge cathedrals or massive manufactorums. Where there's no grass in there, there's no, so that was sort of the. Right, I think it's got that hole filled up now. Build up some more here. And there you go. All right. Well, guys, it is actually almost midnight here. So I think I am going to, I'll just show Scoff. So he's done. I just got to wait for the basing to dry now before I can do a quick dry brush on it and make it look super sexy on it. But I think I'm going to take my leave of you now. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this. I know it was a bit different because I was blathering on earlier on about it's a bit more serious real world stuff that's kind of inching its way into at least this part of a lot of Canadian content creators' hobby when it comes to Warhammer 40,000 miniature wargaming. So yeah, it's one of the things we're gonna have to watch out for. I mean, already, like I said, with that other bill, trying to get news, Canadian news on things like Google and Facebook. So who knows what these new rules will do, and it could make it harder for people to see my already very small, channel even harder. We'll see. But as always, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. It's it's great to see you guys here and talk with you. It's one of the highlights of my week. So thank you very much. Keep rolling those dice, guys, and I will see you later. Bye.